A beautiful spring day in the heartland of America, the gateway city, St. Louis. Busch Stadium, where the fans are filing in, and tonight it's game one between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Redbirds get some good news today. Alan Craig has been activated, and he's set to go and in the lineup tonight. Last time we saw him, he caught the final out of the World Series in Game 7. In that series, he had 3 game-winning RBIs. With Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to Cardinals baseball, everyone. The Cardinals, of course, have turned the page on the Fall Classic, but what a first month of the season here in 2012. Redbirds off to a very good start.
They've just kept rolling, Dan, with a month of April that really is as good as you could expect this club to do with some of the fresh faces. The starting pitching has been outstanding. Only one series did the Cardinals not win. That was in Chicago, and plenty of these wins against Central Division foes.
The matchup tonight, it's a good one. Charlie Morton, the right-hander for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Adam Wainwright looking for his first win for St. Louis. A look at those two when we come back. The world-famous St. Louis Zoo, and it's a gorgeous night for baseball here at Busch Stadium. A pair of right-handers as Adam Wainwright goes head-to-head with Charlie Morton.
Morton's off to a good start. He has a very good curveball, also throws a sinker. Was not able to pick up a victory his last time out against the Cardinals. Does not give up very many home runs. Keeps the ball in the ballpark in every one of his outings. For St. Louis, Adam Wainwright, the big right-hander, had a much better outing his last time out. 7 punch-outs. The velocity increased a bit, but it was really his secondary pitches, a better cutter, and that overpowering curveball. That was the difference for Adam Wainwright.
As we told you on the pregame show, it's a big, big day. As far as number 10 is concerned, that means Tony La Russa. His number officially retired by the club. Details on that, you'll hear from Tony when we come back. We welcome you back to Cardinals baseball, and there you see the retired numbers in franchise history on the left field wall, and another one is on its way. As we told you in the pregame show, the Cardinals have announced they will retire Tony La Russa's number 10 on Friday, May 11th.
We just felt like it was, worthy of doing that ultimate move of retiring his number sooner rather than later, because we think obviously the Hall of Fame's inevitable, and that's been kind of the pattern as far as reaching that bar of number retirement. So, and in just 16 years of great quality baseball and great managing and leading this organization, I think is worthy of certainly that number retirement.
When reached today, La Russa initially said he was embarrassed about the attention. Now, the announcement has sunk in.
The emotions of the significance of something like this has not been lost on me, and it's been overwhelming, actually. The only thing that I've tried to come to peace with is that it represents, 16 years with the new ownership. We had a certain amount of success, and, it depends on how you feel. Some fans will feel like it was a good run. Some people say, hey, we should have won more, but the way I'll look at it is just it represents the players of that time, all the coaches, the ownership, and the support that we received, because had we not drawn the 3 million people for us to have that $100 million payroll. So I'll just take it for what I really believe. It's just it's a symbol of everybody that was involved with the 16 years and however many wins we got. 16 years is a long time to be in a place, and got great memories.
Again, the Cardinals will have a pregame ceremony on May 11th when they face the Braves. Numerous Hall of Famers will be in attendance, and that night is the Ameren, Missouri Tony La Russa figurine giveaway. A very special night on May 11th. We have the Cards and Pirates coming up tonight. It's Game 1 on your home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest. The Cardinals are 1 month into defending their World Series championship. So far, so good. Through April, St. Louis won 6 of their 7 divisional series, and they sit atop the NL Central heading into May. The Pirates come to town tonight for the first of 3. They'll face Adam Wainwright, fresh off his best outing so far this year. Baseball is back at Busch, and it's coming up next on Fox Sports Midwest. Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Designated driver by your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. A beautiful night here in St. Louis as we open up a 3-game set with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the first pitch from Adam Wainwright is a strike, and we're underway here at Busch Stadium. 82 degrees, our game time temperature. You see the high ERA for Adam this year at nearly 7.5, but also high in strikeouts with 21. Alex Presley with a high fly ball. That's into center and put away for out #1. No other way to say it. This lineup has struggled for Clint Hurdle out of the gates. And it is a lineup that doesn't hit very often, doesn't score very much. Alex Presley, Jose Tabata, and Andrew McCutchen. Then Garrett Jones, Walker, and Alvarez, Barmes, Barajas, and Charlie Morton.
They really haven't had a lot of power. There is some speed in this lineup, but if you don't get on base, you can't steal. And they're up against a pitcher, Dan, who is on the upswing, and Adam Wainwright. You mentioned how good he was in his last outing. 7 strikeouts. The curveball was much better.
And here's a ground ball that's pulled foul. 0-2.
And one thing I noticed about Wainwright in his last outing, he seemed to have that bulldog finish off hitters kind of aggressive attitude on the mound. And I'm not saying that was fully missing in his other starts, but it certainly was elevated last time out.
And a swing and a miss for Tabata. So 22 strikeouts already this season for Adam, and that's one of the positives thus far. Holiday, Jay, and Beltran in the outfield. Freeze for Cal, Schumacher, and Craig along the infield. Behind the plate, Yadier Molina. And Wainwright is on the mound. That's presented by Dobbs, and good to see Alan Craig back in action at the major league level.
Yeah, last time we saw him, he was making a catch in left field, and we all got excited after that catch.
Here's McCutchen, and that's a fair ball down into the corner, and boy, this guy can fly. On his way to second. McCutchen will dig for third. He'll be in there with a triple. A 2-out triple for McCutchen. Still does not have a home run this year, and it'll bring in the cleanup man, Garrett Jones.
McCutchen has hit very well at this ballpark, and he just jumps on the first pitch basically right down central. That's a get-me-over fastball, and McCutchen hopped on it, hit the ball the other way, just barely fair, and then he showed his good speed.
So Garrett Jones digs in, splitting time at first base with Casey McGee, the former Milwaukee Brewer, and that pitch is taken for a ball outside. You mentioned something earlier to me that you noticed in Wainwright's last start, and it does get a lot of publicity, is the fact that his velocity has been down since he's come back from this injury, but in his last start you felt the velocity was much better.
Yeah, I didn't average it out, add up every one of his pitches, but he was more 88, 89 in his early starts, and he was more 90, 91 in his last outing. So a little bit more zip on his fastball. And, you know, he's not really a 95, 96 guy anyway, but I think the key for him is to have good command of that fastball and good movement, and he had it in his last outing.
There's a good pitch, 1-2.
And he also, Dan, got hurt with kind of lazy cutters early on. That's the pitch that was leaving the ballpark. A cutter about 84 miles an hour that just kind of sat in the middle of the plate, and he seemed to solve that problem as well.
There's the breaking ball and a ground ball that's hit to second. Schumacher makes the play. The triple by McCutchen. He's left stranded at third as Adam Wainwright picks up a strikeout against Tabata. That replay brought to you by Plaza Tire Service. Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. Fans still filing into Busch Stadium on what is a beautiful night here in downtown St. Louis. For Kyle, Jay, and Holiday, home half of the first, then Beltran, Freeze, and Molina, Craig, Schumacher, and Wainwright. Cardinals face Charlie Morton.
Morton has a curveball and a sinker. The Cardinals have handled him pretty well in the past. 2-6 with a 5.8. Did have a couple of good outings. His defense really let him down in Pittsburgh. He was part of that. They made 4 errors in his start earlier in the season.
Rick, we talk so much about Wainwright, what's happened with him on the mound. How about the lack of offense, in particular scoring? when he has been pitching. In any inning that he has pitched in, the Cardinals have not scored a run.
Well, when you say he's had little support, that's kind of an understatement, isn't it? I mean, 0 runs. That's amazing for an entire month of April. Wainwright with 0 run support. Now, they did score some runs in games after he was removed from the game. And so you may see that stat somewhere, run support, and there's actually a positive number to it. But while he's in the game, 0 runs offensively.
It's a grounder that's pulled foul to Chris Maloney. Longtime baseball man, player in the minor leagues, and also a manager and coach in the Cardinals system, and good to see him get this break with the big club.
Very well respected.
Cardinals have promoted from within for not only their everyday club, but their coaching staff as well. Furcal rips it fair inside the first base line. Raphael on his way to second base and in there with a double. Cardinals need some run support. Why not here in the first as we turn to our AT&T trivia question? Which Cardinals pitcher had the lowest run support in a single April since 1921? At least 100 batters faced. So you know all about this, Rick Horton, back in 1986.
Yeah, you know, some guys need a lot of runs, too. Now, Adam Wainwright doesn't, but I sure did. And I did not know that until I came to the ballpark today.
I'm assuming, though, from your perspective, if you reflect and think hard about this, as well as Adam, he wouldn't say it, but you all of a sudden feel like you have to make the perfect pitch when you're always trailing. Would you agree? And
that's a problem. If you do, yes, that's in your head. I can't make a mistake. I have to be perfect. You may overthrow a pitch here and there, and that actually can be more negative to you. You have to kind of ignore what your team's doing offensively, but that's easier said than done.
And here's a 1-0 pitch to John Jay with Furcal, the runner at second base. Showing bunt here in the first. Alvarez, bare hands, throws, and they just get him by a step. So sacrificing here in this first inning, Mike Matheny wants to go on top early on. Presley, McCutchen, Tabata in the outfield. This is brought to you by Dobbs. Alvarez, Barmes, Walker, and Jones along the infield. Rod Barajas is behind the plate. And it's Morton on the mound. That's presented by Dobbs.
I'm not against a bunt in that situation fully, but I still would like to see a batter try to pull the ball to the right side, especially if he's left-handed. In my mind, John Jay has enough understanding of how to hit the ball on the ground. I say give him a shot, at least one shot, to hit a ball through the right side and get a little bit more.
Still waiting for Matt Holliday to really turn it up a notch or two. He's only hitting .215. A bouncer to second. That'll get the run home. And the Cardinals finally have scored a run for Adam Wainwright. It's 1-0 here in the first inning.
And as Mike Shannon would say, there's your run, big boy. Literally your one run since opening day.
And Clint Hurdle is out to first base, and right now Holliday is standing on the bag, and they're claiming that he dropped the ball, so ruled safe. Angel Campos is the first base umpire. Let's take a look here. Looked to be a routine play.
And the question is, was he taking the ball out of his glove, or does it just squirt out?
I think the Cardinals catch a break here, Rick.
Yeah, I think that happens with the transfer. I think he's out. And so does Clint Hurdle, who had played a little first base for the St. Louis Cardinals back in that 1986 season.
So it's an RBI for Holliday as he picks up number 14. They'll call that an error, and that'll go against the first baseman Jones.
It's not a good play by Jones any way you look at it, but I do think the Cardinals got a break there.
Carlos Beltran playing right field tonight, batting .256, 5 home runs. He's driven in 11. Take a look at how they defend Beltran. He had a couple of hits in the previous weekend series in Pittsburgh. For the most part, they're deep and straight up. That is hammered down the right field line, but foul. Wow, did he turn on that pitch?
Charlie Morton does not give up very many home runs. He actually gave up one in his last start, but they're just very hard to come by against Morton because he has the sinker and the curveball and keeps the ball down, and Beltran almost had one. And interesting watching Beltran. Seems like there are times where he's locked in and times where he's not. You know, as a hitter for the Astros, we saw him a lot and he always seemed to be locked in. Dan, you thought, how does anybody ever get this guy out? Well, like any hitter, he goes through moments where his timing's off, and he's had some bad moments as a Cardinal, but more good than bad for sure.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Carlos. Swing and a miss. It's a strikeout on a breaking ball. And Charlie Morton picks up his first strikeout and should be out of the inning.
Here's the curveball from Morton. Sharp break, downward break. And he takes a little off of it.
Well, right now they say that he has been very effective against left-handers at the plate, and that's something that he struggled with a year ago.
Over
to the tune of a 380 average, and this year the on-base percentage of left-handed batters is under 300. They're hitting roughly around 240. And Clint Hurdle saying before the game what he's done is he's actually thrown a fastball inside the lefties and also that curveball we just saw.
If you don't have the fastball in, you can't just throw sinkers and curveball. The curveball helps, but you've got to have a pitch that you can get in on the hands of left-handers. Otherwise, they'll eat you alive.
And that's essentially what Morton was saying about watching tape last year, why those lefties were just killing him.
And he's throwing more and more four-seam fastballs too. The sinker still is pitch. That's the ball that's going to go down and in on right-handers, but occasionally the fastball will ride a little bit. It'll be more straight, and that's the pitch you throw in on left-handers.
That catches the corner, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike on David Freese. That's it out of play and lined foul. Evens it up at 2-2. Well, you have 2 of the better staffs in this game. When you talk about the Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates, it's our first bank, first take. But what about Washington? That's for the first month, 1.78 ERA. And that is the first ERA that's under 2 for April since 1978 by a starting 5. That was the A's back in '78. Held on to by Barajas, and a strikeout of David Freese. Holiday picks up the RBI. Cardinals lead it after 1. Pittsburgh with a record overall at 10-12. It'd be much better if they could score runs. Our Toyota keys to the game.
Pirates 10-3. When they score 2 or more runs, you wouldn't think that would be a tough hill to climb, would you? 2 runs in a game. But for the Pirates this year, it's been really hard to come by. They just have sputtered, and some of their better hitters, including Neil Walker, off to a terrible start. He was just 1 for 21. Numbers a little better now, but real low RBI total.
You mentioned it, the lack of power that you have up and down this lineup. And Walker, a guy that showed a lot of power the last year and a half or so, and being the everyday second baseman for Pittsburgh.
We have some young players in this lineup, too. Presley, just 26. Tabata's 23. McCutchen 25. Alvarez just 24. Walker 26. So 5 players in this lineup in that mid-20 range. So you'd expect them to be Pirates for a long time. And they're building their club around these guys, but they're just having some growing pains.
There's another breaking ball and foul. We've mentioned it time and again, but Wainwright has come back very quickly from that surgery. A position player, they'll tell you it's 6 to 8 months. Tommy John surgery, they're back. And a lot of times for pitchers, the average is roughly around 16, 17 months, and Adams around 13 to 14.
Yeah, there's a difference between being able to just throw the ball and being able to extend with your pitches and get the break that you want. There's a lot of finger pressure involved. There's a lot of torque on your elbow that you have to deal with to be able to throw a cutter, for example. And again, one thing to be able to throw pain-free, and another thing to be able to get on a mound and pitch. So when you talk about Chris Carpenter, everybody says, well, if he gets better, he'll be back out there. Well, you know, it takes weeks to get your arm game ready.
Strikeout for Wainwright. That's the second strikeout for Adam here this evening.
I was going to say might have been low, but I think that was pretty self-evident.
Chevy Fox Tracks with the proof, and that is CB Buckner, who's behind the plate, and Clint Hurdle off to a rough start when you think about the play at first and now that cold strike behind the plate. Pedro Alvarez. Pirates are dying to see this guy have some type of success, to stick around in the big leagues and be with the major league coaching staff. Alvarez, the #2 overall pick a few years ago. Brief time in the minor leagues. He's from Vanderbilt. Was a great college hitter. And in the minor leagues, hit well. Called up to the major leagues. Hits for power. They thought this guy can't miss, but it's been a pretty long go now, going back to last year and what's happening this year, where he's not put up numbers.
Well, he went from can't miss to can't hit last year, and he really struggled the second half of the season, especially. Not off to a good start this year, but he's gotten locked in the last week or so, and he's particularly hit left-handers better. So he seems to be staying in a little bit more, seeing the ball better.
He did not play winter baseball this past offseason, and some within the organization and those that follow the team were very frustrated with that fact. Others will tell you, and you see his numbers the last 3 years, they thought it may have been a good thing to get away from the game. Take a little BP here and there, but get away from the game, clear your mind.
And not being inside of his head to know the real reason why he didn't do it, I think there is some value to kind of starting over again. You know, your swing's bad, forget about it, and maybe kind of work in the offseason just on mechanics alone and not kind of compound your frustration by having guys in winter ball strike you out all winter long.
There's that nasty breaking ball from Adam Wainwright. 2 strikeouts in the inning, #3 on the night. That's the pitch that they've talked about with Adam coming back, Rick, that he's at times struggled with, the cutter and the breaking ball, trying to get the right feel for that.
We look at the numbers for Wainwright in his starts, the 7 strikeouts, and the home runs also stand out. A couple of home runs against Chicago and Cincinnati. Those were on those cutters. So much better his last outing, the 7 strikeouts, the more dominating Wainwright. And again, you can see it in his face a bit, where he's expecting to kind of compete and blow you away right now. I mean, he's not really toying with the hitters, but he is attacking hitters.
Here's Clint Barmas, and the 0-1 pitch. Hung that one, got away with it, pulled foul. See, a pitch right there where a lot of times in the major leagues, as you well know, Rick, you're not going to get away with that pitch, and sometimes that's the kind of pitch that winds up in the seats.
Especially a hanging cutter. Hanging curveball sometimes hangs up high enough it's hard to get kind of on top of it enough, but the hanging cutter is just usually right down central, has a little spin on it, maybe breaks a couple of inches, 84-mile-an-hour batting practice speed, and so you don't make a good pitch with a cutter, you better duck.
Barmas only hitting 149, and that's about to drop even further. Freeze makes the play. 1, 2, 3 go the Pirates here in the top of the second. Molina, Craig, and Schumacher coming up. Cardinals have dynamic pricing throughout the season. This week's dynamic deal is Bank of America Club all-inclusive tickets starting at just $89 for the month of August. Cardinals.com for details. It's matchups with Milwaukee. You've got 4 games with San Francisco, Arizona, these Pirates, and Houston. And you can sit in the air conditioning, all your food and drink at the Bank of America Club for $89 in the month of August. Here's Yadier Molina. Molina, by the way, is on pace to surpass over 35 doubles. And this is a guy a few years ago, you didn't think about extra base hits. You didn't think about home runs. He already has 4 this year. And off to a very good start.
He's worked hard at his offense, hasn't he?
Always overlooked, and rightfully so, because of his glove. 4-time Gold Glover.
I think he had that so ingrained in his head in his training by Dave Ricketts and then Mike Matheny as the starting catcher when he first came up, that look, our deal is defense, and it was, and he was great at it and worked hard at it. But the offense is just gravy.
Alan Craig on deck. He's making his season debut. And Skip Schumacher this inning, if anybody can reach, then Wainwright.
Cardinals have had some outstanding catchers, Dan, but just thinking about that long list of catchers, has any of them been as complete a player as Yadier Molina? I'm not sure they have.
You know, Matheny undoubtedly was known for his defense. You know,
Ted Simmons could rake.
I was going to say Ted Simmons is the guy that would have to come to mind because of his offense. There's a liner out to left, and the catch is made. Presley, the shoestring catch, and here's Craig.
Batting seventh, number 21, first baseman Alan Craig.
If not for David Freese, the 2011 champions would be talking about MVP Alan Craig of the postseason of the World Series.
He had 5 hits in that series, and every one of them was huge. A couple of pinch hits and 3 home runs. Some defensive plays that we'll never forget. Rob Nelson Cruz of a home run, caught the last out. I mean, he had a complete series.
Career numbers for Alan Craig. He was telling me that his high school retired his number, retired his jersey. It fits into tonight with Tony La Russa. Cardinals will retire his number. And we go back to game 7. And Alan Craig with this home run into the bullpen. Alan Craig hit one and took one away. Said that was the greatest catch of his life.
Carpenter agreed.
Had one that was pretty big right after that, too. About an hour later, catching the final out of the World Series. And that baseball went into his back pocket for a long time.
I was going to ask you if you'd heard where that baseball is.
At last check, he had it, Mott had it, La Russa had it. So I'm not sure if it's gotten back to the Cardinals just yet, but I always find it interesting to find out what happens with those mementos. Like David Freese says, his triple was the biggest hit of his career as Craig swings and misses, but he has no idea where that baseball is. But he got the home run ball. MLB.TV, wherever we're at, you can follow us in HD on your mobile devices. Find out more at Cardinals.com. The Cardinals have an extensive library, if you will, of memorabilia. The DeWitts have put that together. Spent over $1 million, by the way, to get some of the top memorabilia, and that will go into Ballpark Village once that goes up.
So when it comes to this memorabilia from the players' point of view, you know, they're hanging out at the ballpark day after day, meeting Hall of Famers. You know, they got dozens of baseballs on the field, but that one ball becomes so iconic in the mind of a player because of what it represents.
No doubt.
And there's an emotion to it, and it's, you know, it's not the ball. You almost want to just sneak a different ball in there and say, okay, this is the one, Alan, that you hit out in game 2, and this is the hit you pinch hit in game 1. I mean, they'll never know the difference, really. It's just a matter of the feeling and the association that it and the emotion that it brings you back to, which is really the joy of playing this game. Competing at the highest level, winning at the highest level.
The 2-1 is pulled foul. David Freese says he knows where the Corvette is that he got because his dad's been driving that.
Not going to misplace that.
Nope. And he's got the home run ball from game 6, but he does not have the triple. And he thinks it may have been just thrown out. The 2-2 is in the dirt. You know, Mike Matheny is going to have a good problem to deal with, and that's a healthy team. When you think about Craig, Berkman, and your outfielders all being healthy, so little imagination he'll have to use as far as trying to get everybody in that lineup.
Very few off days in the month of May, and Mike was saying before the game he's going to have to rest some guys anyway.
There's a grounder and taken by Jones. Morton covering first. So Mike Matheny and the Cardinals off to a good start. 1-0 after 2. Baseball tonight is brought to you by MyKiaSt.Louis.com. Right now at Jack in the Box, you can try the new Chipotle Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax. And by the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. Glad you're with us, and a beautiful night for baseball. The Gateway Arch, St. Louis, Missouri, and Busch Stadium. Barajas, Morton, and Presley against Adam Wainwright, Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin. And Jim Hayes has joined us here for the 3rd inning, and there's a strike. Wainwright, by the way, has struck out 3 thus far. Barajas, 16 games, hitting just .143.
Wainwright looks as good as he did in his last start against Chicago.
So far, so good.
Pitched out of a jam there and then built on that 1 inning about midway through that start. And I know, Jim, you've seen the progress here. You've been around the team. What's he saying about trying to come back from that injury?
Well, he feels like the curveball's coming around. I think that's pretty evident. We're getting swings and misses off the curveball. He called his last start a step forward. That ball is foul. Talking to some of his rotation mates, Jake Westbrook said watching that start against the Cubs, Wainwright's last one, he said in that 4th inning there were runners at 2nd and 3rd. Wainwright strikes out a couple guys, gets out of the inning without giving up a run. And Westbrook said he saw that same kind of bulldog mentality, that same kind of fire, and that's the Wainwright of old.
I think that fire really starts with his increased velocity, feeling better about his stuff. I think it just kind of goes hand in hand, where the confidence, and it's not that he's out there pitching unconfidently his first few outings, but just kind of on a higher level, competing on a higher level. There's a pretty nasty cutter right there. Again, that's the pitch, guys, that he had trouble with early on, keeping that ball in the ballpark, because it just kind of had a lazy little break to it.
If you demand perfection the way Wainwright does, it's an adjustment, the process of coming back from Tommy John, as that ball is fouled away also. And Westbrook said he thinks it was going to be a short-term thing with Wainwright based on the fact that he is so strong-willed that he'll be able to get through it, not have any kind of self-doubt, and just be Adam Wainwright.
It's so interesting that these guys are still doing what they've done in past years, where they're all going out, and I think Chris Carpenter really was the starter of that, of, let's just watch each other throw our bullpens. That's not something that's typical. Most teams do not do that, but they know each other well, and they can really help coach each other.
In the air out to center. Jay is back. He'll look up, and it's off the wall. He plays it perfectly and fires a strike back into the infield. Barajas just a couple of feet away from a solo home run.
This pitch is up in the strike zone, and Barajas somehow gets on top of it. Has to keep his hands enough on top of the ball to drive it the way he did. And I think John Jay and all of us up here thought that ball was going to be out of here. Just a fastball up in the zone. And Barajas has some power. He had a year where he had close to 30 home runs with Texas.
It's 16 home runs in just 98 games last year. So Morton will be asked to bunt in this spot, you would assume. Craig is cheating in at first, and the bunt is down. Wainwright will let Yachty take it. Covering first base, Schumacher, and there's one away. Sack 2-4 on the play.
Cardinals are so aggressive defensively. They want to get that lead runner if it's at all possible. But this bunt was done so well. He has the bat angle. He has the barrel of the bat above the handle. If you drop it too low, and he came close to doing it there, you end up creating a bad angle and foul the ball off. But you have to keep your hands out in front of you and then just kind of let the bat give with the ball. Nick Leyva, the third base coach for the Pirates, is as good a teacher of bunting as I've been around in baseball.
Here's Presley, and the infield is drawn in. And why do you say that? What was made him one of the better ones?
Well, he spent hours doing it in Cardinal when he was a Cardinal minor league manager. He was the guy. Anytime you got to the bunting teaching, you'd pass it to Nick Leyva because he understood the bat angle. He understood how you had to have plate coverage. A lot of guys, when they turn their bat around, they don't have the outside corner covered, and so they have to reach out, which drops the bat angle. And so he would actually have you turn around, square to bunt, and then he would make you drop the bat just to make sure you had plate coverage.
1 ball, 1 strike on the leadoff man in this lineup. Alex Presley fly to center first time up.
I also love about Nick is he had some kind of temper. Boy, when he would get yelling, he'd yell in 2 different languages at you, and you would have no idea what he's saying. But man, could he get mad?
You just knew, get out of the way.
Don't even, just say yes, sir, and move on.
Two balls, 1 strike. This is one of the young outfielders that we spoke of earlier. That's popped up and out of play.
It's remarkable what the Cardinals starting rotation has done even without Chris Carpenter. Second in all of baseball in ERA, shade over 2.5.
2 years in a row, 0 wins from Carpenter and Wainwright both.
There's that curveball, and Presley, the strikeout, swings through it. And for Adam Wainwright, that strikeout number 4, none bigger early on in this game than that right there.
It's the equalizer. This curveball we've been talking about. There's the grip of Wainwright. He has the finger off the ball, the forefinger off the ball. The downward movement is creating 12-6 rotation. Very sharp break.
Jose Tabata. Tabata with a fly ball out to left. This may leave the yard. It's gone. Pirates on top 2-1. A hanger, and he bangs it out of the ballpark. And we have seen here in this 3rd inning, Rick, that Wainwright not quite as sharp as the first 2 with some of those breaking balls.
Yeah, he's made some mistakes. He actually made a mistake with a fastball as well to Barajas that was up in the zone. May have been a changeup, but I believe it was a fastball that Barajas hit the center. But a couple of hangers from Wainwright. There's the curveball, just sits there, doesn't quite have that sharp downward break, and hitters know what to do with that. Location's not bad. It was down just above knee high. You got the sense he was looking curveball there too.
So a 2-1 lead for the Pirates. A cutter and a strike at 87 from Wainwright. This is McCutchen. McCutchen tripled back in the first.
It's a night's worth of offense for the Pirates. A couple of runs early on. We mentioned they're 10-3 when they score 2 or more runs.
Oh, 2 is fought off, and Craig is there and makes the catch. A 2-run homer by Tabata. Pirates have their first lead of the night. It's 2-1. Some of the haves and have-nots right now around Major League Baseball. Ryan Braun in San Diego, his first career 3-home-run game. He is from the LA area. Speaking of LA, Matt Kemp, what a month he's put together. Right now, he's the early favorite for MVP. And Albert Pujols, no home runs this year, longest homerless drought of his career. 121 at bats, and that's 29 games. So rough start for Pujols in Anaheim.
That's as much emotion as you're going to see from Adam Wainwright. Not happy with not finishing a couple of those breaking pitches in the top of the 3rd inning, giving up some hard hit balls.
And Wainwright taps one foul underway in the home half of the 3rd. It was him seeing a function yesterday for the suite holders here at the ballpark, and John Mozeliak was asked about Albert Pujols, and he said, I know that a lot of people want me to say we're really happy that he's not doing well, and you know, this is something that we expected. He said no. He said for the industry and for baseball, it's not a good thing, and we wish him nothing but the best. He said, I'm a fan of Albert. He said it's a lot easier to cheer for him when he's in the American League. He said, but before it's all said and done, he'll put up great numbers. And he said you have to remember what he did here in town. At least that's John's perspective of things, and to be a part of that great run of history that Albert put together. So he said no hard feelings as Wainwright hits it to Walker for the first out. And he also talked a little bit about Chris Carpenter and said that Carpenter at this point, you know, no timetable set, but definitely not coming back anytime soon. Carsoup.com/Cardinals if you'd like to email us a question.
I talked to Carpenter. He's on a special program designed to strengthen that shoulder of his, and he says it is feeling stronger, but right now there is no timetable set, and there's really nothing in the near future where he thinks they're going to be setting a timetable. Wait and see. And with the way the rotation is going right now, the Cardinals have the luxury of being very, very careful.
Here's Rafael Furcal. Furcal doubled and scored back in the first. And John mentioned about Carpenter. He said, look, the reality is he's, what, 37 years old. He pitched nearly 300 innings last year, if you include postseason play and everything that went into spring training and whatnot. He said, this isn't necessarily the worst thing. And if we can get him back and get him healthy and fresh down the stretch, he said, we have added one serious weapon.
But the getting him back always has to contemplate what is his spring training going to be like, and that's the point for a pitcher. Is it's not, you know, spring training is basically made for pitchers, not for hitters. So you need that month to go from, and he even said, you know, I haven't thrown in so long, I'd be starting over. And so you have to factor in, even when he's healthy, another 4 weeks after
I
that.
think that's legitimate. And he also said, as a positive to that, is that he's one of those guys, it doesn't take him a long time to get ready. So his spring training, while it might be 4 weeks, it's not a ton of innings where other guys are looking to pile up pitch counts and innings and get a better feel. He said it doesn't take him that long, as Furcal is now 1 for 2.
And how long will the throwing program last? That's another thing. You know, every once in a while there'll be a bump in the road.
Right.
And
Right.
So you don't even know how long that's going to take.
And speaking of bumps in the road, you were able to get some info from the Cardinal manager, Jim, about Lance Berkman, and certainly we're all kind of waiting to see him back on the diamond as well.
Well, he's got that left calf issue, and he planned to be running full throttle. They told him to back off, so he is jogging and putting some stress on the calf. He's due to come off the DL on Friday. I asked him if he thinks that's a realistic possibility, and he thought it was a good possibility. But because this is an ongoing thing with the calf and Lance, he said they want to make absolutely sure that there's no danger of him re-aggravating it. So right now he's taking it slow. He thinks there's a good chance he'll be back soon, but he's got to go through the different testing and kind of up the ante in terms of taxing that calf.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Mike Matheny was asked if he thinks Berkman will be back on the 4th when he's eligible to come off, and jokingly Matheny said, go ask Lance, I'm sure he'll tell you.
He said, I believe he said, he's not going to be afraid to give you an opinion, and he said it jokingly, and he has a great deal of respect for Lance.
Jay laying down the bunt. It's a beauty and a base hit. A 2-out bunt base hit extends the inning to Matt Holliday. You watch the little things that John Jay does, and anytime you see this, you say the guy plays the game the right way, don't you?
Yeah, they're giving it to you. There was a time in baseball that bunting with 2 outs and nobody on was verboten. The idea was you got to get a double, put yourself in the scoring position. But you know, the way the power of the game has evolved, if you've got Matt Holliday hitting behind you,
exactly,
I think it's a whole different world now. And I'm okay with him bunting there. But 15 years ago, John Jay would have gotten thrown at next time he came up to the plate.
So a 2-1 lead for the Pirates, and here's the first pitch to Holliday. Matt, his first time up, picked up the RBI, number 14. So he reached on an error. Rick, what have you seen with Holiday? He's not gotten off to a quick start or the start we anticipated after watching him in spring.
What you always end up seeing with players that are just a bit off with their stances, you just see a lot of balance issues. And even that ball he just fouled off right there, he was very uncomfortable. He almost looked like he fell over swinging at it. And the base is so important for hitters, and a lot of that comes from seeing the ball and making the right timing approach to the baseball. And he waits on that one, hits it the other way.
So Jay will wind up at third. Nice piece of hitting by Matt Holliday. Extends the inning to Carlos Beltran.
The base is important for every hitter, but Matt Holliday has that high leg kick, and timing's always a part of that. You want to be able to be firm on your back leg, so you don't want to be too far out front, and have balance at the plate. And he finds a hole on the right side. John Jay picks up the ball and races to third. And sometimes that helps you with your balance. Hit the ball the other way often helps you get timing, helps you see the ball deeper into the zone. And hitters will tell you when they're struggling, that's often one of the best things they can do, is try to just hit the ball the other way, let it get deeper into the zone.
Chance for Carlos. He had a long foul ball his first plate appearance with home run distance. Ball still just jumps off his bat, electric when he's right, and his average is dipped to 253.
And you know what Al and I call those long foul balls, right?
Strikes.
Strikes.
Yeah. I would too.
All a matter of perspective.
That's right. The swinging bunt, base hit.
That's all right. Well, it's ingrained in you. That's exactly right.
3 for 8 with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Little floater that'll drop foul.
So smooth, Cat, isn't he? Carlos Beltran, and the way he kind of just swings the bat, plays the field.
Everything.
Very smooth. And he is Beltran.
Beltran. I was with Dan when Dan asked him. Beltran.
You can do both. He says Beltran, Beltran.
I was with you when you asked, and he said Beltran.
The second time he asked him, he changed his mind.
He did. He said you could do either one. Asked him twice.
Were you with Dan the second time?
Yep.
When he explains it.
Well, as said it a couple of times, but I think he's Beltran from the left side.
Okay.
Is there a reason why? Or
No.
Beltran pops one foul.
He's just trying to be likable here. He said, "You guys, we can call him whatever." He said, "Call me whatever you want."
1-2 on Beltran.
There you go.
I was just following Dan at spring training, just following in his footsteps like I always do, and I heard that.
Thank
I thought,
you, Jim.
I'm on to something.
Boy, I feel good tonight. Runner goes, and that's a ball taken inside. Now we saw how the game on Sunday ended. Similar play, first and third, and a design play with Tyler Green being thrown out at the plate.
Yeah, Mike had a lot to say about that in his pregame conversation with the writers and with us, and he said, let's just say it should have worked out better. He wasn't really pointing fingers, but clearly he said, spent a lot of time thinking about that game after it was over.
2-2 is a foul ball.
Someone asked him about that play, and he said, "Oh, you mean the cute one?"
Somebody must have called it a cute play.
I know he tells us that the game does not follow him home, but a game like that, it's just got to eat at you.
No doubt.
Hit a couple on the road trip that probably did a little eating too.
2 Chicago games that would drive you nuts, and you hope the Cardinals don't look back at that first month and realize missed opportunities in a number of games.
Barkman hasn't been playing. They're without Carpenter, no Alan Craig. I think they're very happy to be where they are. I've heard that too, of missed opportunities. How about the opportunities that they made good on?
Ball taken inside, and now the bases are loaded for David Freese. Wainwright, by the way, his pitch count at 43. Charlie Morton already up to 54.
Cardinals being very patient with the curveball of Charlie Morton this inning. They're not swinging at pitches they were swinging at earlier.
So bases loaded for David Freese. And a 2-1 Pirates lead here in the bottom of the third. Cardinals, most players with 10 or more RBIs, and now a visit on the mound, slow down Charlie Morton. You know, Mike Matheny was asked to, or the subject was Mike, I should say, and in particular why this was the right spot to bring in a guy like Matheny to replace Tony La Russa when he retired. And John Mozeliak was very blunt in his assessment. He said, if we didn't have the kind of clubhouse that I think we have and the veterans, I'm not sure we could have done this and pulled it off. He said, not only do we have veterans, but good people. And it makes a lot of sense. You know, you've got guys that can police themselves, and Mike has been so far that kind of manager.
Well, when you can go to your veteran players, and I'm not saying he did this, but if you can go to him and say, we want you to respect Mike Matheny, and you're going to have to help lead this, some veteran players would say, whatever, I'm just going to do my thing, but not these guys, not the Berkmans and the Carpenters and the Wainwrights.
It's a chance here for David Freese. Bases loaded, 2 down. Freese, big rip, and fouled it back. David struck out his first time up.
A couple of these guys were talking before the game. Obviously, they want to win just to win, but it's important to them to get a W for Wainwright.
Adams still looking for that first victory. You see the numbers for Freese in this spot. The 0-1 pitch. Outfield for the most part straight away and very deep. This all started with 2 outs. Freese with a high fly ball into right. Cardinals will strand the bases loaded. And Pittsburgh, after 3 innings of play, they have a lead of 2-1 here at Busch Stadium. 2-1 game in favor of Pittsburgh. Top of the 4th rolls in. We were talking a little bit about the health of this club, and Mike Matheny will have a great problem on his hands, trying to find at-bats for everybody, keep them sharp. You mentioned all the games here in the month of May, but I'll ask you this. What about an Alan Craig at second? He played the outfield. You know, Tony was very imaginative, if you will, in doing that, but he's going to have to think of ways to try to keep him in the lineup if he's hitting.
Don't we already have 3 of those second basemen? Why not a 4th? Have a party there?
Hey, I'm just throwing it out there.
I think it's a good question, and you know, I think Mike Matheny actually views Alan Craig's presence as not a potential problem, but an answer to a problem that he's foreseeing, and that is guys needing time off. He said we had so many off days in the month of April, you could just let guys play every day. Yadier Molina, you could let Holiday play every day, and Beltran play every day, but I need to get them more days off in May, and I know it. And so having Alan Craig gives you a guy that you're not at all uncomfortable throwing into a couple different positions, first base, outfield, and realizing he's going to be a potent bat in your lineup. In fact, batting him 7th in this lineup, Mike said, the reason I'm batting him 7th is the other 6 guys are doing pretty well. I can let him ease into it because I've got so many guys kind of firing on all cylinders now. So I do like the fact that Mike is looking ahead.
Here's a 3-1 pitch, grounded to short. Rafael Furcal, 1 away. Tune in before every game. It's Toyota Cardinals Live, and tomorrow night, another edition of the Catfight with Jim Hayes. That's at 6:30, followed by Game 2, Cards and Pirates at 7. Earlier tonight, we gave you the story. Big news concerning Tony La Russa. The Cardinals have elected to retire number 10 as there's a look at Pat Paris, the host of the pre and post game shows, and
always working hard.
May 11th will be the date of Tony's retirement, and that's also the figurine giveaway, the Tony La Russa figurine giveaway, and there's not many tickets left for that night anyway. So if you're on the fence, you might want to think about doing that right now and getting your seat for that Friday night. There'll be an extended pregame ceremony, and my understanding is Tony has got a who's who baseball Hall of Famers from his days with the White Sox and the A's and Cardinals coming through town to celebrate on that Friday night. And that is May 11th against the Atlanta Braves. Ricky Henderson, Dennis Eckersley, Jerry Reinsdorf. I talked to Tony today. He was in contact with Matt Morris. Matt is coming back, and many of the Cardinals from the early 2000s. Wainwright thought he had a strikeout of Neil Walker. The count is 2-2, but they'll retire number 10, and that will be on April 11th. Get your figurine and a chance to see history. And he'll only be the 12th number in the history of this franchise to have that number 10 retired. That's just amazing.
And I know that'll mean a lot to him. And Dan, it's also kind of interesting. The Cardinals are facing kind of a unique situation, is you want to continue to celebrate what the team did last year going to the World Series. Yes, we have to talk about this year, new team, fresh deal, but you're still celebrating to a degree. Some of the promotional nights, the ring ceremony, etc. And without having Tony around, it's a little odd. But it's also odd to have him here while he's trying to distance himself from the new manager and let Mike Matheny have his space. So very difficult to balance those two things. Let Mike have his space, but also honor Tony. And
we talked to the chairman, the CEO of the St. Louis Cardinals earlier today, Bill DeWitt, and Mr. DeWitt telling us that one of the things that stood out for him is that in a way it's a unique situation because of him retiring, but he said it's one of the greatest runs in franchise history. We're not waiting till he goes into Hall of Fame. It's basically a foregone conclusion. He will be in Cooperstown, so let's do it. Let's celebrate what Tony meant to our franchise. And Tony said in his mind it's a representation of that era. You know, that number means coaches and players that have come through, and again that date is May 11th, so it's coming up.
At least to some degree, Tony's getting that opportunity to kind of revel in the joy of being a world champion where he wants to be, which is in St. Louis with some of the players that he managed. Otherwise, it's kind of a truncated celebration for him, if you think about it. World Series over, everybody goes home, it's over. Well, we can celebrate in spring training and next year, but he's not part of that. So good for Tony. It'll be a nice night, be a magical night for him, and I know he understands the rich Cardinal history and how big an honor that is.
Here's a ground ball that's pulled foul. We'll be carrying that game that night, May 11th, and we will carry that extended ceremony, pregame ceremony for Tony La Russa. Really a big weekend because Chipper Jones, it'll be his final stop in St. Louis with the Atlanta Braves, and in my mind a future Hall of Famer as well. But you're exactly right. Tony said they had talked about last year, okay, we're 10.5 games out, I'm retiring, meet with the media and see you later. But very special ceremony on May 11th. The double play, 4-6-3. The Cardinals again will retire number 10, Tony La Russa. Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you, Jim Hayes as well. Al will be on the post-game show. And Charlie Morton goes back to work.
You mentioned that 10.5 game deficit that the Cardinals had at one point last year. They started going in the right direction when they faced Charlie Morton.
That's right.
And he was a losing pitcher, and the Cardinals won 23 out of 32 games, including that particular game against Morton. And of course, the rest is history. Morton pitched well against the Cardinals earlier in the season here at Busch Stadium.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Fought off by Yadi, and a base hit into right. August 25th of last season, when things right around that time started to turn around for St. Louis.
All kinds of offense. Here's Morton's line that particular day. 4 1/3 innings, gave up 9 hits, 5 runs. And the Cardinals again figured him out. There was a game before that when he was just burying the ball inside on the right-handed batters especially. And that's what you have to be careful about. The ball moves so much to the inside part of the plate on right-handers. You have to see. It's almost like trying to hit the splitter of Bruce Sutter. If you see it at the knees, it's probably going to be on the ground by the time it gets to the plate. You have to have the discipline to lay off that pitch. You have to let him get the ball out over the plate.
Here's Alan Craig, struck out his first time up. Remember the Cardinals at the end of spring training? We were doing a game in Port St. Lucie against the Mets. And at that time, they gave Alan Craig 10 at-bats in minor league action at the same complex. And they really felt opening day was a serious possibility for him. And they were at that point unsure whether or not he could run in the outfield, but they felt good at first base. And they felt, all right, we could still have this guy off the bench. But they later felt that was probably a mistake.
Well, it's always problematic about those situations. And there goes Molina.
What a jump. He reads it off of Morton. And the stolen base for Yachty.
Getting incredible knack at doing this. You'd have to say, somebody in the infield, yo, step off, step off, step off, step off. Somebody's got to say that, don't they? You think somebody could see that, but Yachty has a great instinct at stealing second base without throws. But the issue with Alan Craig, Dan, coming back was not how he felt that day. It's how he felt the next day. And that's the deal with injuries.
Remember, it was the injury of the knee in that leg sliding in right field to the sidewall in Houston. And Alan Craig was down in Jupiter, Florida for a long time, even prior to spring training, with just trying to do plyometrics and explosive exercises to strengthen up the legs. You can see the brace on the right knee and also the protective gear on the left. Strikes out for the second time. 0 for 2.
Off-speed pitch. That may have been a changeup from Morton. Just dove at the last moment. Craig out in front. He's gotten plenty of at-bats in the minor leagues, Dan. He was in A-ball for a while, then went to AAA and had 2 or 3 games there. Hit a couple home runs yesterday for AAA, and Cardinals decided to activate him today and sent out Eric Komatsu. And the Komatsu situation is a little unclear. He has to clear waivers for the Cardinals to be able to keep him. That's basically his situation since he's a Rule 5 player.
Right. So he goes through. Every team has a chance to claim him. Now, if they do, he essentially becomes their Rule 5 player. So he has to stay
with their team for the rest of the year. And Mike Matheny had no confidence that the Cardinals would get to keep him. He thinks he's shown enough things that there will be teams because of his young age that will say, this is a guy we need to protect and could be a good player off our bench.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Schumacher. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now, if he did clear waivers, Washington would have a chance to reclaim him as part of this. And either a negotiated settlement would come through with the clubs, or a trade.
Right. Sometimes that happens.
Right. 1 ball, 1 strike. And I think what it tells you, though, from a Cardinal perspective, is that they feel there's some depth in the minor leagues, in particular Adron Chambers, who we saw last year. Redbirds have been happy with what they've seen thus far from him in the minor leagues. Shane Robinson off to a good start with what we've seen here. You have Alan Craig, who can play the outfield, so really just not enough room. And you think about Komatsu, he might be your 28th or 29th man on the roster. Really slowed down that pitch. 2-2.
Again, the off-speed pitch. Schumacher out in front this time.
On the outside corner, and Skip can't believe it. Remember, the Pirates were arguing about a called third strike in the second inning. And the Cardinals, I believe, will have an argument here. Missouri Lottery Fox Tracks. 5 strikeouts for Charlie Morton. Here's Adam Wainwright, the tying run at second base.
Interesting, Adam Wainwright just really noticed it in his last game, has a slightly different batting stance than we've seen in the past from him. 0 for 7 on the year, but you know he can hit, but he's resting the bat on his shoulder. He's a little bit more relaxed at the beginning of his stance before the pitcher comes set. And he does a little bit of movement to correct from there, but he's just got a much different style, much more relaxed, bat resting on the shoulder. Seems like his swing's a little shorter than I remember it. Wainwright does have power occasionally. Very good athlete. We've seen him pinch hit before, but this is definitely a new batting stance for him.
One and two the count. Mentioned how Charlie Morton has that similar style to Roy Halladay of the Philadelphia Phillies. And it was Jim Benedict, who is a longtime minor league pitching coordinator for the Pirates, that completely changed this motion and dropped him down 3/4. Used to be just a power arm, but 2 years ago ran into trouble, was sent to the minor leagues, and now he has this type of delivery. There's an error at short. Molina will score, and we're tied up at 2-2. A play that's got to be made. It isn't, and it's 2-2.
There's nothing about this play by Clint Barmes that's pretty. He's got a pitcher running, ball hit fairly hard. He doesn't have to field this off to the side on the run. He could have waited back, gotten that next hop, but he tried to scoop it on the run, straddling the baseball. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with the way he fielded that ball, and then to allow that ball to get into the outfield and Molina to score, that not something you think about when you normally think of Clint Barmes. He's been a good fielder in the past, made a couple of errors against the Cardinals in Pittsburgh, so he's really off to a rough start this year with the glove and the bat.
Signed a 2-year deal to come to Pittsburgh. And one of the main reasons why was because of his manager that he's reunited with, and Clint Hurdle. He spent time with him in Colorado, but also because the Pirates said, we will not move you to second. You're going to be our everyday shortstop. And other teams wanted him to play on the other side of the bag. As for Cowell, pulls it foul. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. It's game one between the Cardinals and the Pirates. Rick Gordon, Dan McLaughlin, Jim Hayes with you. Rafael Furcal has doubled and scored back in the first, and also grounded out to second. Rick, I was talking the other night with Al about how you just take for granted how many plays Yadier Molina is a part of.
Right.
And it's every pitch defensively. But think about the stolen base.
Stole the run there. That's exactly right.
You know, just the little things that he does. Furcal hits it sharply to first, and Jones will take it. Adam Wainwright put the ball in play. The air by Barmes, and we're tied up 2-2 after 4. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Taco Bell, Live Más, and by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. The U-City Lion. The shot from Tony West. He's all over St. Louis. 2-2 ball game as we move to the top of the 5th here at Busch Stadium. Pirates have committed 2 errors in this ball game. That's what Wainwright has done. He's given up a triple and a 2-run homer, and now we're tied up 2-2. It'll be Barmes, Barajas, and Morton. Very good ratio for the most part for Adam Wainwright. Very effective first couple of innings.
9 out of 10 strikes in the first inning. Good to establish the fastball, especially early on. And Wainwright, key from here on out is to make sure you finish your off-speed pitches. That's where he gets in trouble, or he's been getting in trouble.
There's Clint Barmes, who just committed the error with 2 outs. Pirates would have been out of that inning, and now he'll lead it off. He's from Vincennes, Indiana. A product of Indiana State University. Played 1 year for the Sycamores of the Missouri Valley Conference. Neil Huntington is the GM, and he said Barmes ranked 3rd on their list of available shortstops. There was Jose Reyes, there was Jimmy Rollins. They felt there was no way they'd get those two, and they went after Barmes and picked him up right away. And now he's hit by a pitch. That's how we start inning number 5.
That's definitely not the way Adam Wainwright wanted to start out the Pirate 5th inning. Club gets the run back. He's even the score, and then he hits a guy who's hitting 149. This is a tough game, and you don't have to tell Clint Barmes that right now.
You know, if you're Wainwright, Rick, take me inside what he's feeling, because we know just how good he can be. You know, a guy that twice could have won the Cy Young Award. He's closed out a World Series. He's been a 20-game winner. And then to come back from injury and clearly not be where you were before, just how tough is this right now?
Well, I think he went through the experience of pitching a whole year in AAA with the Cardinals when he didn't have his best stuff. He was a starting pitcher before he came to the big leagues. And he was a guy that was just blowing everybody away at the lower levels, but then just kind of wasn't quite right that year and had to kind of learn how to pitch a little bit. So, you know, the adjustment for Wainwright shouldn't be as hard as it might be for somebody else, because he knows how to pitch. He doesn't just have the great stuff. He knows how to pitch. And really, that's how he has to think right now until the stuff comes back to where he is throwing 93, 94 again.
There's a ground ball and a double play. Out at second on the wide throw. Barajas running, so they'll turn 2. It's a double play, and the second the Cardinals have turned tonight. Blues got to step it up. It's Blues hockey, and we've got post-game shows after every single playoff game. The Blues and Kings, and the Blues in some kind of hole. Down 0-2. Full postseason coverage right here on Fox Sports Midwest, and many of the Cardinals were at games 1 and 2. Disappointing nights down at Scott Trade.
I was there both nights. I loved it. It was fun. Not the result, of course, but as you say, plenty of Cardinals there supporting the Blues, and really been a great run all year long, and we're just going to keep believing that they can figure out a way to get back on top. That first period, I must say, was tough to watch. Trying to figure out what the baseball equivalent to 4 goals would be. 12-0 in the first, 12-0 in the second, 14-0 maybe.
Here's a 1-2 strikeout. I was thinking what Adam Wainwright must have been feeling on opening day against Chicago.
Good call.
Jay, Holiday, and Beltran coming up. We made the announcement on the pregame show, the Tony La Russa retirement figurine, and that is Friday, May 11th against the Atlanta Braves. And that night, you have a chance to walk away with the figurine and also watch history. The Cardinals making the announcement that they will retire Tony La Russa's number 10, and he'll be the 12th number that's been retired. You also have Jack Buck, and obviously not a number. Whitey Herzog is a manager along with Tony that did not play for the team. Bush is up there with 85. And it'll be Tony and Whitey, the only numbers that did not play for the team but managed the team, that get that ultimate honor of having their number retired. And we should mention that there was already about 40,000 already sold for that night. And since the news hit during our pregame show, tickets have been going very quickly, and this will sell out. Very special night. We will extend the pregame show so you don't miss any of the ceremony that night. And Tony La Russa, who knows just about everybody in the world of sports, apparently he wants to bring him here. So it's going to be a star-studded affair. Hall of Famers from various sports and people in his professional life that have meant so much to him, whether it be from the Oakland A's or the White Sox. Certainly here in St. Louis, but some of the biggest names in baseball will be here.
We always affectionately call them the Friends of Tony.
Right. Fly ball out to left, and all of us at Fox Sports Midwest happy to bring that to you, but also Cardinals.com if you'd like to get those tickets. And again, This is one of those we say get them now because we mean it. It will get sold out very quickly. I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt. Tony, of course, was here on opening day and was able to connect with many of his former players, but this will be more focused on Tony than opening day was, certainly. And I think a fitting honor for Tony La Russa.
Holiday up the middle for a base hit.
Holiday getting closer.
Couple of hits tonight to go along with that RBI. Carlos Beltran will be the hitter. Beltran has walked and struck out. I know there's been a lot of talk, the groundswell of support to retire a number like a Willie McGee. You know, fans loved Willie McGee, rightfully so, your former teammate.
Willie not a Hall of Famer, which would be the kind of the automatic shoe-in to be on there, and of course Tony La Russa will be one. And the deal that with Willie McGee is really loaded with intangibles, and the big intangible is what you just said, how much everybody loves him. So if you could kind of put love into the equation with the stats and the ability and how much we enjoyed watching him play, then yeah, I'd love to see his number retired.
I think if we do see the Cardinals Hall of Fame go up, Willie goes in the Cardinals Hall of Fame, and maybe that's the level that he would go to, and you'd see the Cooperstown Hall of Famers with their number retired on the wall.
I learned on our pregame show on Fox Sports Midwest just last week something I either forgot or never knew, that Whitey Herzog was number 3 when he first came
I didn't know that.
to the Cardinals, and they had video of him his first year as a manager wearing number 3. But
and he is number 24.
Number 24 on the left field wall.
1 ball, 1 strike. Beltran with a bouncer foul. Right now it's Carlos's turn with number 3.
Those single digits don't last very long when you play. When you have teams that play in the World Series a lot, and you have a lot of Hall of Famers.
Here's a 1-2. Popped up left side and out of play. Charlie Morton, let's talk a little bit about this motion, Rick. And he's gone more 3/4 and not over the top as he once was. For a pitcher, what is that going to allow him to do?
Well, he's going to get his fingers more in a sinker position on top of the ball instead of being on top and throwing straight through to the plate. He almost comes off on the side of the ball a little bit with a lower arm angle, and the idea is to almost kind of throw over the top of the ball and make it sink down and away from a lefty. Occasionally you have to throw that fastball in to keep him honest. That's what you were talking about earlier. But his bread and butter is going to be that fastball down and away, and he gets that with the 3/4 deliveries. Not over the top. He drops down just a little bit, and the hand goes over top of the ball. You can almost see that on that video in the slow-mo, his hand going over top of the ball, which creates a top spin on the ball and makes the ball sink.
That's pulled foul. Watch out. Matter of fact, I mentioned the name of Jim Benedict, the Pirates minor league pitching coordinator at the time when they changed his motion. They went back and looked. When he was in high school, they had video of him back in 2001 of his junior year, and they went frame by frame to show how contorted his body was, where the arm angle was, and how hard it was on his shoulder, elbow, arm to throw the baseball. And he said, why are we doing it like this? Let's try something different, because clearly it's not working.
What's funny about video is, depending on the player, you could look at video, and I think there are players today that feel the same way about it, even though it's a bigger part of the game now than it would have been 10, 20 years ago. There are players that can look at video and they wouldn't know what you just said. You'd look at themselves throw and they don't see that little nuance that a pitching coach can see. And so a pitching coach has to be careful what players to use video with. Talked to John Mabry about that a little bit with hitters, and he said there's some guys on his team that don't really get a lot out of video. It's more of a feel thing for them. So you want them to feel the checkpoints, not look at it on a video and then try to emulate it.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Runner goes. And it's another walk to Carlos Beltran. It's the element of Carlos that we don't talk enough about, the fact that he does draw a number of walks.
High on base percentage, he always has. Lance Berkman, very similar kind of player in that regard.
And Holiday, too.
And Holiday.
Those 3 in the top 10 of on-base percentage a year ago. June 16th, pick up a World Champions Pet Bowl for your furry friend. Compliments of Nestle Purina. Available to 25,000 pet lovers ages 16 and older. That's June 16th. The World Champions Pet Bowl.
Ray Searage, former Cardinal minor league player, really actually played with Nick Leyva at the low levels of the minor leagues. Both of those guys were Cardinal minor leaguers growing up, and he has been getting a lot of credit for how he has helped this pitching staff here in Pittsburgh. You mentioned, Dan, they're top 3 in the National League in earned run average. Their starters have been good. The back end of their bullpen's good. But Ray has a very kind of calming demeanor. He's, I would say, still has a little bit of the New Yorker in him. He's really blunt and sharp and in terms of how he talks to his guys, but he always has a smile on his face. And I played with Ray a couple of different places, with LA and with Chicago, and just an outstanding teammate, knows the game, and Pirates are lucky to have him.
Right-hander getting loose in their pen right now. They've had a very good bullpen.
And I can make fun of us fellow New Yorkers because
I was thinking, how did you come from New York?
Well, I have my moments, Dan.
Yet to see that happen, but I'm sure you do. I'll have to ask Ann about that.
Can be arranged.
I don't have to live with you, thank goodness. Pickoff play, and they nearly threw it into center field.
That might have hit Holiday. Grimacing a bit at second base, kind of awkward, and maybe that hits off his forearm. Here's the throw. Barmas tries to get it, and it does. It hits off the right forearm. And that's a pretty muscular forearm of Mr. Holiday, and that's going to leave a mark.
It already has.
Yes.
So 2 on, 1 out for David Freese, and he hits it a ton. Right center, track, wall, goodbye. Home run for David Freese. Opposite way, a 3-run shot. Cardinals back on top. Ricky, I'm not sure there's a guy in baseball that hits for power the opposite way any better than the Cardinals' third baseman.
That's exactly what he does, Dan. He drives the ball the other way, picks up a big hit in this game. The fans want a curtain call from David Freese. And they get it.
Number 6 comes on the first pitch for David Freese.
And this is a guy that doesn't give up very many home runs.
Wainwright has been given now a 3-run lead. He was looking for run support. Well, he's got it tonight. Liner into right. They can't make that play. Fighting the lights. Cardinals catch another break, and in right field, Tabata couldn't come up with it.
David Freese showing his power the other way. There's a pitch middle in, hands inside the ball. Morton reacts on the mound right away. He knows that ball's gone. Now Tabata, this is not a bad effort. This is just not seeing the ball. He got close to where he thought the ball was and stuck his glove out. That's a guy that is not dogging it on that play. You had it right, Dan. He just did not see that ball at all. And it may have gotten in the bank of lights down the left field line. There are times where it just happens to be at the right angle, and you just cannot see the ball.
Return to the lineup for Alan Craig. He has struck out twice. Generally speaking, this ballpark is one of the most, I guess, the fairest ballpark that you could find in Major League Baseball.
I believe it was right smack dab in the middle in terms of fairness. All ballparks are rated.
Little fly ball into center. That drops in for a hit. McCutchen will fire to the plate. It's cut off. A run will score. Welcome back to the lineup, Alan Craig. He makes it 6-2.
McCutchen has a strong arm. Good jump by Molina. He reads that this is a bait hit right off the bat. He did not hit that ball hard, Alan Craig, but Yadier Molina reads it very well, and Craig drives in a run and knocks out the pitcher, Charlie Morton. 6 runs. The Pirates have given up. Jose Oquendo's been busy. Jared Hughes, the new pitcher, 6-2 Cardinals.
What's on tap? It's going to be a nice pitching matchup when you think about A.J. Burnett and Lance Lynn, a couple of hard-throwing right-handers, and Lance trying to go to 5-0, and this is our Budweiser What's on Tap.
Lynn has been outstanding. A.J. Burnett, one of the 2 times the Cardinals have been shut out this year. He was the starting pitcher on a last-minute recall. It actually sent this guy back to the minor leagues, but he's been called back up from Indianapolis. Jared Hughes pitched 3 innings against the Cardinals in that series in Pittsburgh and gave up 1 earned run in that game. This is unusual for the Pirates, a 6 spot.
That's just an indication of how good their pitching has been. It's a team that had a 15-game improvement last year. Clint Hurdle's first full season at the helm. They were in first place late in the season by their standards. And then they fell apart. They went out and got Derek Lee. They got Ryan Ludwig to try to add some pop to this offense. And it didn't happen. It's Casey McGee, the former Brewer, talking with Clint Hurdle. 1 ball, 1 strike on Skip Schumacher.
And I know they get tired of hearing it, but 19 straight losing seasons by the Pirates, and you really can't ignore that. Clint Hurdle has a job to do, and a tough job to do. And I believe his players believe in him. I know his coaches do. I know what kind of teammate Clint Hurdle was. Very successful in his 8 years, or let's just say successful at times in his years in Colorado. He was 8 years there. And this is his 2nd season in Pittsburgh. And it's going to take some time for them to get better, but their pitching sure is better. Jets' Jeff Bannister giving the signs. He's the bench coach. And Jeff Bannister is 1 for 1 in his career as a big leaguer. Hard to get much better than that. Retired with a 1,000 career batting average, Jeff Bannister.
So Wainwright with 2 down and a runner at first.
Master Sergeant Bill Anderson is here from Fort Leonard Wood and sends his hellos up to our broadcast booth and all of our friends there. We appreciate your service.
Clint Hurdle was asked about his opinion of taking a pitcher out, when he said it's pretty easy. I never ask a starter if he can go another inning. He said, because what is the starter going to tell me? He's going to tell me I want to go another inning. Wants to prove that he can be stronger and get better, but He said, I just take that decision out of their hands, and I make sure that I'm the one to make that decision for them.
You have to. It's actually what Mike Matheny was talking about getting rest for some of his players, and he mentioned a couple of names in that list. He mentioned Holiday and Beltran, and he also mentioned the catcher, Yadier Molina. And he said, I'm not going to ask them, and I'm not going to wait for them to show some of the signs. I'm just going to have to decide for them that they're going to need some rest in the month of May with very few off days. First month of the season just kind of flies by, but May can be a bit of a grind when you start, again, playing every day and some of the aches and pains. You know, Matt Holliday got hit on the forearm by that ball at second base. Well, he's going to feel that for about a week. And it might not keep him out of a game. It might not keep him from an at-bat, but he's going to feel that. He's going to have a nasty bruise. It's going to be tender there, and you get these little nagging things that you have to deal with, and the manager sometimes has to be the one to be the bad guy and say, look, maybe you need a day off.
One and two the count. David Freese with a 3-run homer. Yadier Molina a double and a run scored this inning. Up the middle, base hit, off the bag at second. Runner Alan Craig will advance from first to third on the play.
Now, once that ball hit the second base bag, Alan Craig had the opportunity to go into third, and I watched him run that whole way from first to third. Really didn't show any indication of his knee bothering him. Once that ball hit the bag, he had to take off. He did have a bit of a stumble looking on the replay as he rounded second base, but nice to see Alan Craig on the base pass and Wainwright picking up his first hit of the year.
So 2 down, and here is Rafael Furcal. Cardinals will strand 2. Furcal leaves a couple of on. But the big blast off the bat of David Freese. He was ready to go for the curtain call, but had to wait for a pitch to go by. Takes the curtain call. Fans having some fun tonight. It's 6-2. Nine hits for St. Louis, and they lead it by the score of 6-2. And David Freese has picked up his 6th home run. This is our Nissan drive of the game.
He's able to get the barrel of the bat on the ball on a pitch on the inside part of the plate because he keeps his hands inside and manages to drive the ball a long way to right center field. And the Cardinals 4th in Major League Baseball at 5.1 runs per game so far this season. The Pirates, Dan, last in Major League Baseball, just 2.6 runs per game. Tough for your pitchers to keep the team down for that long without starting to show some cracks. They're going to have to get some offense, Dan, or their pitchers are going to start to feel the strain of this club's offensive attack. And the Pirates, by the way, have not played anybody other than the Cardinals in the National League Central. They've only played 3 games in the Central.
Here's a grounder to the right side. Schumacher to his left and makes the play. Well, looking ahead at the early season schedule here for Pittsburgh, not an easy one in the first month of play. They had 3 playoff teams and 1 team that eventually won the World Series in St. Louis. Not an easy way to start. Jose Tabata will be the hitter. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And it's game number 1 of a 3-game set. The Buccos and the Cardinals. Tabata takes a strike.
So the Pirates have played a number of games, 12 games already against the West. They also played most of their spring training games against the American League East because of where they're located. And so you've got a team that hasn't faced the Brewers or the Cubs, and you know, you're really not going to know how good this Pirate team is until they start matching up against the Reds and the Cubs and Milwaukee.
Ground ball to second again. 2 away. Saturday, the UFC returns to Fox, and it immediately hits the air live with a heavyweight bout. That's Saturday at 7. And that's a strike to Andrew McCutchen with 2 down. And pitching with a 4-run lead, we're seeing Adam very aggressive here this inning. Liner caught by Freeze. 7 pitches in that inning. Jay Holiday, Beltran coming up. Pirates fans here in St. Louis, and the score is 6-2. Krispy Kreme doesn't deal if the Cardinals pick up 9 hits, and they have today. You can stop by one of the 4 St. Louis area Krispy Kremes for a sensational deal, $3.99, and receive a dozen of their original glazed donuts.
Cardinals lead is somewhat comfortable right now as they bat in the 6th inning, but you never know about this game. Up 4 runs. The Cardinals bullpen has been more than respectable. Adam Wainwright with that nice quick inning in the 6th inning. You'd think he'd have maybe a couple more left in him, but it doesn't hurt to add on.
John Jay retired. And there's 1 away here in the bottom of the 6th.
There's Clint Barmas again, made an error earlier, and again fielding the ball off to the side. You see more and more players doing that. This doesn't look very comfortable fielding the way we've seen him in the past. You can go into fielding slumps, just like hitting slumps, where you're thinking, boy, that ball hit to me again.
Troy Tulowitzki had some issues. The man that replaced Barmas at shortstop in Colorado. Beginning of the season, he struggled a little bit with the leather.
He sure does give pitchers issues, though, Tulowitzki.
Yeah, you can put up with those errors.
Yeah, I would say.
And he's noted as a pretty good defender. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Holiday. In the air. Left center. Goodbye. It's a home run for Matt Holliday. And boy, did that get out in a hurry. Wow. Holliday with home run number 5. Three hits tonight for Matt Holliday.
So much for being off balance on some of his swings. He must have centered this ball perfectly, because the way this ball has carried, and he knew it right away. That ball was down in the zone, but no question that at the home run distance, Holliday squared that one up and used the great power that he has in his lower half. And when he swings, he has a violent swing. Maybe the opposite of Beltran. Beltran, the nice smooth swing. Matt Holliday, the violent swing. And I guess his forearm's okay.
Two-0 pitch. 3-0.
They can hit some laser shots, can he?
Oh man, he just, as you mentioned, takes that violent cut. If he centers it, it just jumps off his bat.
There's a couple of guys catching up. Alan Craig and Mark McGuire.
David Freese and Matt Holliday, those two have teamed up for SSM Cardinal Glennon Children's Medical Center. They call it Homers for Health. We talked about this earlier this season, and those two are raising money for every time that they hit a home run. Fans can donate as well. They're making some money tonight. Little chopper, backhanded, and Freese is out. Matt Holliday takes one deep into left center. Number 5 for Matt, 7-2 St. Louis. Art Museum, and we remind you that carsoup.com brings us our email the booth question from O'Fallon, Missouri. If a run scores on an error by the pitcher, is it counted as an earned or unearned run?
We appreciate the question, David, and the answer is it's an unearned run, and it actually happened to Charlie Morton, tonight's starter for Pittsburgh, in his start in Pittsburgh against St. Louis. They made 4 errors in that game. He made one of them, which became an unearned run in that ball game. So the answer is yes, it's an unearned run. Either way, the pitcher's not happy about it. And sometimes the key is to not give up many unearned runs. There are certain pitchers that'll give up a lot of them. You make an error, or somebody makes an error behind you, and then all of a sudden your concentration goes down and the floodgates open. But the good pitchers will pitch around errors.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. This is good to see Adam Wainwright pitching into the 7th inning.
Sure is.
Overall, what have you thought of his stuff tonight?
Good. Wouldn't call it great, but he's pitching. Made a couple of mistakes with his off-speed pitches early on. He does have the bulldog thing working. Dan, back to the Cardinals defense. They finished the month of April first in the National League defensively.
Compare that to a year ago this time, and you think about what was happening up the middle, and defense porous at times. Your buddy Jose Oquendo there with Chris Maloney. The 3-2 pitch comes back to get him and strikes him out. So just 81 pitches tonight for Adam Wainwright, and Adam is due up 4th, home half of the 7th.
I'd like to let him pitch 7th inning and through the 7th inning and say that's a good night. Go home.
I wonder how cautious Mike is going to be in looking at pitch counts and also looking at innings pitched as we go along throughout the season for a guy like Adam Wainwright.
Well, no action yet in the Cardinal bullpen, but I think the situation has to dictate it. It's almost impossible to pre-plan that. Dyer Miller, the Cardinal bullpen coach, is awaiting that phone call. He's sensing it. You know, the veterans, they have that ear. They just know the phone's getting ready to ring. But I think this is a situation with a 5-run lead for Wainwright, where if you can't trust your bullpen for 2 innings with a 5-run lead, when can you trust it? There's that phone. Dyer's ready for it. He's going to pounce on it.
1-2 is hit up the middle on a pitch that was up by Adam. Brings in Pedro Alvarez. Oh for 2. He's grounded into a double play. And struck out back in the second and hits it a ton into right field. And this ball is gone. He's got that. He's got some power. And that is home run number 6 for Pedro Alvarez.
That sends Derek Lilliquist to the phone. Home run number 6 for Alvarez. And Mitchell Boggs is standing up, but now the Cardinals go to another reliever as we look at the off-speed pitch from Wainwright. That was either a changeup or a bad cutter. Either way, it was about belt high with nothing on it. And another mistake for Adam.
It's a 1-2 pitch that Walker hit for a base hit into center, and Alvarez, the home run, his first hit of the night.
And it's Fernando Salas getting loose for St. Louis now, not Mitchell Boggs.
Ground ball to short. 2 outs. Adam Wainwright, home runs allowed this year. 7 for Adam, and the other starters just 5. Attendance tonight 36,345. 36345. The home plate umpire, they're tending to him. It's C.B. Buckner.
Looks a little dazed, doesn't he? Acting like he might have pulled something. Not in great distress right now, but certainly uncomfortable.
You have to wonder the way that he's kind of moving that leg. Would he be able to get in a position to call balls and strikes? Cardinals, you can look at it 2 different ways. Slows up Wainwright. Maybe that's a good thing. The other side, Adam's probably thinking, let's go. I want to pitch. He's got 2 outs here in this inning.
Yeah, generally I would say he probably is not thinking it's a good thing. I think he wants to get through this inning. He's frustrated clearly on hanging that pitch in the eyes of Pedro Alvarez. Well, C.B. Buckner doesn't seem 100% okay, but it looks like he's going to continue with his chores behind home plate.
Remember, Adam Wainwright is a guy that prior to his injury, for the most part it's carrying over now, could get loose very quickly. He stays loose. Doesn't take him a long time in warm-up tosses to get ready. So he says he's ready to go. 2 outs. Nobody on, and a strike at the knees to Barajas. Oh, and 2, a sharper break on that curveball. Went down to get it, but foul.
There's the curveball pitch ago that was so sharp. Wainwright getting the downward rotation and tremendous torque on the elbow. And talk about a guy coming back from surgery. That's just such a good look and a tight look at the kind of stress that is on the guy's elbow who's trying to throw the curveball as hard as Wainwright throws it.
Freese makes the play, and it's time to stretch. Pirates get 2 back, and it's 7-4. Rawlings presents the Cardinals Kids Club. You can join Matt Holliday. He's the face of that program this year. And for just $25, you'll get tickets, promotional items, and much more. Visit cardinals.com/kids club. CB Bucknor is not with us right now. He left, but yet the other 3 umpires, we've not seen one of them go get equipment or potentially check on him.
You would guess one of the Cardinal trainers is maybe working on CB Bucknor, trying to make him more comfortable with it, whatever issue he's dealing with. Otherwise, one of these umpires would be back changing into the home plate umpire's gear. So you'd expect to see CB come out of either the Cardinal or the Pirate dugout here after getting some treatment, but we may have a little bit of a delay in action here. Pirates are throwing the ball down, but CB's not out yet, but there he comes. And that's Chris Conroy, assistant trainer with the Cardinals. Always take care of the umpires, Dan. Doesn't hurt to be nice to the men in blue. Not suggesting that you'd get a break or anything later, but just in case.
Seven 4 as we move to the Cardinals half of the 7th. And here is Yadier Molina, who is lined out to left. Singled, stole a base, score a run to 4th, and a double and a run scored in the 5th.
And that point about never having enough runs comes back. Cardinals at one point were ahead 6-2. They added on in the 6th inning thanks to Matt Holliday's home run. Pirates, even with bad offense, they're still big leaguers. And having said they're still big leaguers, that was not a big league play by Mr. Alvarez.
It's 3 errors charged to the Pirates tonight.
And like the error that Barmes had, not a tough chance. That's not a tough hop. That's not a guy that's a speedster that you've got to work hard to get rid of it quickly to throw out. That's just a regular ground ball. So a little bizarre that the Pirates had fielded so poorly against the Cardinals. 4 errors the last time Morton started. And as you mentioned, Dan, already 3 tonight.
Alan Craig is 1 for 3 in his return to the lineup. Third base umpire has left the field, and our assumption would be that he's going to put on equipment. Do you agree?
I would agree. I would find it odd that he didn't do that between innings.
Either that or nature calls.
I would think they would not continue play if that were the case. They would give him his time there. But perhaps he got the sign from CB that he doesn't think he's going to be able to continue, and he's just trying to gut through this inning.
Base hit, Alan Craig.
And so now you have the problem of CB Bucknor, the home plate umpire, that may have a little more responsibilities at third base. With the umpire missing, he actually was trying to run down to third base in case there was going to be a play there on Molina.
There's Schumacher, 2 runners on and nobody out.
Nice to see a couple of hits for Alan Craig. The guys that have come back from being hurt for the Cardinals have had instant impact every time. John Jay, Skip Schumacher, now Alan Craig. What will Lance Berkman bring a few days down the road?
Matt Carpenter has moved to the on-deck circle. Adam Wainwright's spot. Salas and Boggs getting loose. The fly ball that's slicing and left. Presley with the catch. One away. Fernando Salas earlier today. You'll see those relievers, as you all know, Rick, get out there early, stretch, and just work on little things, mechanics, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, this is called dry work. This is working without a catcher, and he's just trying to really work on seeing where his delivery is once he breaks, where the ball's coming out of his arm. Does he have the right arm action and rotation? And so it really starts with how do you take the ball out of your glove, and he's looking at it piece by piece, going through his motion just to make sure the arm's coming out right. He's getting the proper extension on his throw, and he's also having the right leg drive to the plate. Really, you're just working on mechanics there, just trying to get the feel.
Looks like a double switch here for Clint Hurdle.
Also might be double switching the umpires.
Navarro will come into the ball game, and a new pitcher as well. Double switch. We'll tell you about it when we come back.
Cardinals still batting in the bottom of the 7th. They lead the Pirates 7-4. Defense has been part of the story for the Pirates. A couple of errors have been costly for them. Matt Holliday, ground ball to second, easy play, ends up as a drop ball, an error, a run scored early for the Cardinals. And then Adam Wainwright, little ground ball to shortstop. With 2 outs, it gets by Barmes. Yadier Molina scores. So 3 errors for the Pirates have made things difficult for their pitchers. They've also given up 11 Cardinal hits, and we now have a new home plate umpire as CB Bucknor has called it a night. Not exactly sure what his injury is, Dan, but he is no longer behind the plate. And the left-hander, Tony Watson, is our Chevy dealer's called to the bullpen.
And this move made, Rick, with the umpire, with the pitching change, not doing it while the same pitcher is in the game so the strike zone doesn't change?
I think it may be.
Runners go, and a throw down to third. They throw it in left field. Run will score. Craig advancing to third. It's another error.
It's your classic Yadier Molina, Alan Craig double steal. How about that? Big surprise. Barajas has to try to get rid of it. And Yadier Molina now with 2 stolen bases on the night. The 4th error for Clint Hurdle's Pirates. And a long night for him. I don't know, Dan. I just think it was maybe more than CB Bucknor could bear, and it's just a matter of timing for him.
Run scores on the play, and it's 8-4. I think this is more the role that we envisioned for Matt Carpenter this season, especially with Alan Craig back. He would get a good majority of the playing time if somebody was injured, and Carpenter filled in admirably here in the first month. 1 for 3 with a double and 4 RBIs as a pinch hitter.
So if I told you the Cardinals were going to have 4 stolen bases through 7 innings of play, would you have guessed it would be Holliday, Molina, and Craig?
No. Matter of fact, none of those.
Not even you are that smart, Dan.
No. Inside, and it's 2-1.
Carpenter's production has been good, and he's not Lance Berkman, but puts in a lot of quality at bats. He's been hanging in on left-handed pitching. Looks comfortable. Job here with the drawn in infield is get this ball into the outfield somehow.
Two and two the count. Infield is drawn in, and that's taken outside. We've seen that Carpenter has a very good eye.
He does. And he should get something to hit here with Furcal up next. But he doesn't want to walk Carpenter, the left-hander. You know, the Pirates staff, Dan, is going to have a harder time overcoming this kind of defense than they are their own lack of hitting. I think their pitching staff's going to suffer more if they continue to boot the ball around.
You were talking about it earlier with Carpenter, how he hangs in against lefties. And it's a pretty good example there on that 3-2 pitch and a lefty-lefty matchup.
Pitcher's pitch there, and he fouled it off. Has another life. Big league hitters smell RBIs in a situation like this. I mean, this is what you're paid to do. Have an impact, get an RBI, drive the run in. Everybody wants hits, but RBIs are king.
Fights it off again. We think about some of the places we go middle of the week, and not a opponent that you look at that you say, well, it's not the Cubs, it's not the world champions coming in town, it's the Pirates, a team that has had 19 consecutive losing seasons, and you're still close to 40,000 on a Tuesday night. Not bad.
Outstanding.
Good at bat here by Carpenter.
Both those last two hacks are good example of a hitter who may be out front just a bit, but his hands are still back enough to be able to get a good swing at the pitch that's away. You know, he may have maybe fooled, or maybe he's off balance a bit, but his hands are still back. Once you commit your hands, you're out.
Another example there.
And you have to trust your hands. You have to trust that your hands are going to be quick enough. You know, it's what Al talks about all the time about, you know, good hitters aren't afraid to be jammed. Because if you think you're going to be jammed, you're going to commit your hands early enough because you don't want the embarrassment of a guy getting in your kitchen, so you don't trust that your hands are quick enough.
Three-two pitch. Knocked down, and what a play here at second base to take the hit away from Carpenter. Craig stays put at second. Walker with a nice play, and that saves a run. Good at bat by Carpenter. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Top of the lineup for the Cardinals. Redbirds on top 8-4, bottom of the 7th. Dan McLaughlin, Rick Horton, Jim Hayes with you. This weekend, Cardinals will be in Houston, beginning a road trip that takes them to Houston and then out of the Central Division into Arizona. Many scouts liked Arizona coming out of the National League, coming out of spring training. A lot to like.
And there were a lot of folks that last year said that Arizona was a much improved ball club after seeing them play the first few weeks of the season under Kirk Gibson. And I would have been one of those that said, Arizona, really?
Yeah.
And yet they were. They just kept, and they don't really have the star offensive player. They do have very good pitching.
In the air, out to deep left center field. It's at the track, at the wall, gone! Home run for Rafael Furcal. The leadoff man's first of the season.
Rafael Furcal very seldom gets into a ball like this. But from the right side, he powers this one into the seats. 3 more unearned runs this inning against Pirate pitching. And Adam Wainwright had 0 runs for him in the month of April, and he already has 10 in the month of May.
And it's a leadoff man that is driving in runs, as Furcal has done a wonderful job getting on base. But the most players now, this is updated with 10 or more RBIs, and the Cardinals with 6. Furcal had 7 home runs in 50 games last year for the Cardinals.
Well, the multiple players with a lot of RBIs, 10+ RBIs, what that means is you have a balanced offense. You don't have to rely on one guy to be hot, and there are some clubs in baseball, the Pirates may be one of them, that Andrew McCutchen is kind of their offense. If he has a good night, they'll score, and if he doesn't, they won't. But the Cardinals have multiple players that can drive in runs.
It's fought off, and a base hit over short. We've talked a lot about this too, where prior to Albert Pujols, it was sit back and wait for the big blast off the bat of Mark McGwire. And then Pujols was here, and a lot of times you didn't see movement on the bases because you didn't want to run yourself out of an inning, or a big blast, multiple RBI opportunity for Albert. And this year it's a team that is not nearly as station to station as we've seen. Would you agree?
And there's no question about that. And I think Albert, as a Cardinal, would have been the first to say, I'm part of a team here and it's an us thing, and he said that all the time. But you know, his presence was so huge in the middle of that lineup, it just altered at times the way you attacked the other team offensively. Also interesting, Dan, how many people we meet throughout the week who say, you know, look, Albert was a big part of my life for a long time, and you guys need to talk about him more. And then you go about 5 feet down the road and somebody says, you know what, you all ought to stop talking about Albert. He's not a Cardinal anymore, and I'm mad at him. Well, we can't keep everybody happy, but from my point of view, Albert gave us a ton of thrills, and we can't forget that. But we also have to realize that we have to turn the page and move on to the new, fresh-look Cardinals of 2012, which includes Carlos Beltran and Mike Matheny, and a team that runs a little bit more.
I hear that fans, more times than not, at least they'll come up to me and they like this team. They like the change. They like to see the team moving a little bit more. And I don't think there's any doubt that people that grew up or watched the teams of the 80s will tell you it's some of the most exciting baseball they ever watched. And you know, when you go from that to station, there's a big difference. Now the game has changed and how it's approached, but it's fun seeing guys in motion, hit and run, stolen bases, well pitched ball games, and right now you're getting that.
You can talk to multiple players that played in Major League Baseball in the 80s, and they would say one of the most exciting things that they saw during that time was Willie McGee going first to third. So it's not just the stolen bases, it's the speed on the bases and what that does to create havoc on the other team defensively.
Holiday chases that pitch, and it's held on to. Cardinals pick up 3 runs, and they lead it 10-4. Cardinals on top, and we welcome you back to baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to Pat Paris with this Bomarito's Sports Update.
Thanks, Dan. Cole Hamels on the mound for the Phillies tonight in Atlanta. Top 4, Ty Wigginton, the sharp single to the left. 2-run score, and Wigginton ends up at third after the error. Phillies win it 4-2 in their first trip back to Atlanta since eliminating the Braves on the final day of last season. We all remember what happened after that. Dan Ring, back to you.
All right, thank you, Pat. And Carpenter stays in the ball game. He is at first base, and Fernando Salas is in to pitch this 8th inning for St. Louis.
Salas has not gotten on track yet. He's shown some flashes of what we saw last year out of Fernando Salas when he was for a very long time the Cardinal closer, and he ran into some rough spots giving up home runs. This year he's been a little bit more hittable so far, but still think there's an upside. I like the way he attacks the strike zone, and when his off-speed pitches are good, he can pick up some strikeouts.
1 ball, 1 strike. This is Navarro, who's part of a double switch. Cardinals lead at 10-4.
Yamaiko Navarro. Not exactly a household name.
Backhanded by David Freese. Nice play. 1 away to start the 8th.
I think David Freese's defense has been a little bit better this year than last year. Seems more comfortable, maybe a tad more range. There were times, especially towards the end of the season, I thought he was backing up on some balls and a little bit more uncomfortable with the short hops. Some of that came after being hit by a couple of pitches, so I'd say saying I can 100% blame him. But it seemed like he got a little shy defensively, but haven't seen any of that this year.
Mobility, a big question mark for Freese on the ankles last couple of years.
Right.
And you know, he actually played a little squash with Matt Holliday, both living in St. Louis in the offseason. So those two would do that for conditioning. And David said he felt very good lateral movements when he was playing that. 1-2 the count on Alex Presley.
You think those were some competitive squash games?
Absolutely.
No, I guarantee you they were.
Absolutely. Right down the middle, and a strikeout for Salas. Billboards with a look of the St. Louis Zoo. Cardinals baseball brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Jose Tabata with 2 outs and nobody on. The regime of the Pirates, you're going to live and die with some of these young players. Tabata, the potential of a 9-year contract. He has a 6-year deal with 3 options after that, so it has the potential to go to 9. Two-run homer back in the 3rd, and a 1-1 pitch, a little bit low. And that's a 2-out walk by Salas. Salas took over at the back end of games for Ryan Franklin last year. And for fans that don't know, Ryan is still part of the organization and working as an assistant to John Mozeliak.
Seen him a couple of times here at the ballpark, and he officially says he's doing some scouting, is the word he uses. But you know, you've got a guy with some expertise and been around the game a long time and knows what he's looking for, and that's how Cardinals are able to get a lot of players opportunities to stay in the organization. We know that Kerry Robinson has been a scout with the Cardinals. Alan Bennis works in the front office here. Ted Savage, going back further than that, has been a Cardinal employee for years and years. Joe Cunningham works with Al Roboski on the school programs, and he really designed those, and he's found a niche there. And I know I'm forgetting a few, but it's just nice to be able to have the Cardinal folks around. Luis Alicea was here at the ballpark during batting practice, a former Cardinal player, and hardly a night goes by where you don't see 4 or 5 ex-Cardinals at the ballpark somewhere.
0-2 on Andrew McCutchen.
Mike Jorgensen in the front office with the Cardinals.
Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live coming up. Tony West was on the roof of that car taking a shot, a live look. It's amazing the type of shots that Tony will get throughout the season. Ooh, he just missed, and Salas runs the count full. Pitch that gets away. Runner advances all the way to third. He was off with the pitch. They're at the corners with 2 down. So Salas got the first 2, and since then he's walked the next 2.
Yeah, he looks a little uncomfortable. He's having a hard time commanding his fastball even down in the zone. Started out as a promising inning for Fernando Salas, and he's lost his control a bit. A real rarity for him last year. J.C. Romero getting loose. ...21 walks in 75 innings last year for Salas, and he has a couple here in the 8th.
McCutchen steals the bag at second. I'm going to say defensive indifference. Here's the 0-2. And that's a base hit into right. 2 runs will score. 10-6. So Salas gets the first 2. He walks the next 2 and gives up a base hit that scores 2.
Pitch is down in the zone. Not much on it, though. Pretty straight fastball from Salas. Again, that's not his typical fastball, but he's really not 100% correct with his mechanics right now. And one thing you'd say about the Cardinals' month of April, it's fortunate the Cardinals were getting such good work from Mitchell Boggs in the 8th inning. I think the odd man, or the guy you would have said would have been kind of the odd man out there, would have been Boggs. You'd have said Salas is probably going to be the 8th inning guy. But Mitchell Boggs really throwing well. Cardinal bullpen in general doing a nice job in April. Laboring right now. I know this feeling. You're just hoping something good happens. Victor Marte is the right-hander. J.C. Romero, the lefty. Yachty trying to pump him up. Kyle McClellan gets some extra work in as a bullpen catcher right now.
Here's a 3-0 and a strike to Neil Walker.
It's Dan Iasanya is now the home plate umpire. He was working at second base originally. CB Bucknor having some kind of physical issue. Left in the 7th.
Up the middle. Diving stop by Schumacher, and everybody is safe. It's a base hit, and that's going to be it for Salas. Gets the first 2, walks the next 2, and then more trouble after that. Game 1 sees the return of Alan Craig. Craig a couple of hits. David Freese in opposite field, 3-run homer. Will it add up to a St. Louis win and a win for Adam Wainwright? Cardinals with 13 hits, but a little bit of trouble here in this 8th inning as the Redbirds lead it 10-6, but 2 runners on. And here is J.C. Romero.
J.C. Romero really came to this club to get left-handers out. The veteran lefty had a rough spring training, but a very good month of April. Good compliment to Mark Zepchinski in the Cardinal bullpen. And his job is to get out Pedro Alvarez, who homered in the 7th inning, 2-run shot, his 6th of the season. And he has hit lefties better in the last couple of weeks. Made an error here tonight, which was a huge error looking back on it, Dan. If he makes that play, we're looking at a 7-6 game instead of a 10-6 game.
Alvarez breaks his bat, and that's a base hit. A run will score. That cuts the lead to 10-7, and all of a sudden, the tying run will come to the plate. That run charged to Salas. Casey McGee has moved to the on-deck circle, and Mike Matheny moving to the pitcher's mound. Cardinals baseball rolls on. And this Sky-Brother telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. 8 hits tonight for Pittsburgh. And now this becomes a ball game again with the tying run, Rick, at the plate.
Two of the top 3 pitching staffs in the National League, and what do you get naturally? A 10-7 game, 21 hits and 4 errors. And we're not done yet.
Nate McLouth, his 2nd time with the Pirates. Out of Michigan, he turned down a scholarship from the Wolverines to sign with the Pirates, and you see the numbers on Victor Marte. 25th round pick back in 2000. An all-star Gold Glove winner. And a ground ball backhanded by Carpenter. And that will send us to the bottom of the 8th. Pirates pick up 3. They cut into the lead. It's 10-7. Brad Lincoln is the new pitcher for the Pirates. 4 walks, 8 strikeouts in his 7 innings of work. He's appeared in 3 games and does have a win under his belt. ...21 hits combined, 17 runs. And Carlos Beltran will be the hitter. The Cardinals picked up a run in the 1st, 1 in the 4th, 4 in the 5th, another in the 6th, and 3 in the 7th.
And if the Pirates are catching the ball, the Cardinals are trying to play catch up right here in the 8th inning. But they have a 3-run lead, thankfully. Because of those miscues, the Cardinals have walked too many batters in this game, notably Fernando Salas, a rough inning. 2 in the 7th and 3 in the 8th is not a nice way to start the month of May for your bullpen. Wainwright gave up the 2 in the 7th, 2-run shot. A couple of home runs in the game again for Adam Wainwright. A little disconcerting, but overall I would say he was okay. Be nice to get him his first victory.
Beltran has struck out. Twice he was walked. Scored a run back in the 5th. Out of Lake Jackson, Texas. Brad Lincoln. He was the 4th overall pick back in 2006. And right away he had Tommy John surgery in 07. And there's a called 3rd strike on Carlos Beltran, who strikes out for the 3rd time.
2 walks and 3 strikeouts for Beltran. This pitch right on the black, down and in. Kind of came back a bit over the inside corner on Beltran, froze him a bit. David Freese with just 1 hit on the night, but it was a big one.
A 3-run home run. Look at this, a line drive to right. They were playing deep though, and it's caught near the track. Lincoln pitched at University of Houston. He was one of the top college pitchers back in 06. Same year of Andrew Miller and Tim Lincecum. You just don't know. You can take these guys high draft choices, but you really don't know what you're getting until you see a bigger sample size than college baseball.
And it's not just the sample size, it's seeing the 88-mile-an-hour nasty slider and what's a guy going to do with that, or what's a guy going to do with a hitter that all of a sudden doesn't bite on your slider. That's kind of a good one in college, but maybe not a good one. And what's your other out pitch that you have? And you get tested as you go up, and the elite kind of push their way through, and others just don't quite make it. And sometimes you don't know till you're pushed. Sometimes necessity kind of breeds a solution for you. It's like, you know what, they're hitting this, but I better try something different. And the next thing you know, you're Bruce Sutter, and you say, hey, let me spread my fingers apart on the ball and see what happens.
Molina going with the pitch and lines out to right. 2 hard hit balls, but they wind up in the glove of Tabata, and Mott is coming in.
10-7 Cardinals as we head to the ninth at Busch Stadium. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and the Mad Hungarian are at Lumiere Place. Al will break down Wainwright's night. We'll get Mike Matheny's post-game comments and more on the Cards' plans to retire Tony La Russa's number. That and more coming up. Jason Mott on to nail it down, and we go back to the booth. And Dan and Rick, guys.
Sure, at one point, Jason Mott was probably thinking that this was not going to be a game that he would enter, but things have gotten close now. It's 10-7.
Well, you know, if it's within 3, you got a chance of being the guy to pitch the 9th inning, and that's a safe situation, and that's what he has. And, you know, as a reliever, you've seen it before. You just have to find a way to stay ready. And now Mike Matheny's relying on his closer here in the 9th inning, and Jason Mott, for the most part, has been very good. He had that one hiccup, the one blown save, but he has 3 saves through the first month. Really not a lot of opportunities to save games. Despite all the Cardinals wins, they weren't really save situation games for him.
Here's Rod Barajas.
Sometimes you have to win ugly.
This would be one of those games if you hold on.
Not the prettiest display of baseball from inning 1 to 9, but you know, it's part of the way the game is. You're going to have those days, and Cardinals kind of lost ugly on Sunday.
Here's the 0-2. Seen Mott go to that secondary pitch. His cutter a little bit more this year. Offset that fastball. Popped up.
Think about what Jason Mott was able to do last October, Dan, and he had a lifetime worth of experience in just a couple of weeks with the Cardinals run, and being able to be the man on the mound for the final game of the World Series. And say, well, he's still kind of a young pitcher, but you know, you age quickly when you have that experience. This pressure here must just pale in comparison to what he must have felt in late October.
Slicing, and that'll drop in for a base hit off the bat of Navarro. It's 9 innings this far for Mott, in which he has struck out 9, and opponents hitting 185 against him. David Freese is our Budweiser player of the game. 3-run homer back in the 5th.
Cardinals have had plenty of offense to support David Freese. 13 hits. Matt Holliday also with a home run.
Here's a ground ball that is foul. Molina arguing with the home plate umpire.
We'll take another look at that. This ball, is it over the bag or is it in foul territory? First base umpire right on top of that. Again, we are dealing with 3 umpires now. Where is the ball when it goes over the bag is the question. It's one of those kind of subjective plays in baseball that would be really hard to use instant replay to discern. That one's foul.
2 strikes.
Saw that one on my own, Dan.
We've got the matchup tomorrow of Burnett and Lance Lynn. Lynn, the 1.33 ERA. And looking for his 5th victory of the year.
Kind of excited to watch him pitch. That's how good he's been.
He's been great. Here's the 0-2. Got him. 98. A strikeout for Jason Mott.
You got to dial it up to catch up to a Jason Mott fastball, especially when it's up in the eyes. Whoops. A little bit tardy.
Strike one on Tabata.
If you're the Pirates, what you're hoping for is at least a shot with your star player, Andrew McCutchen, who would be the tying run at the plate. And if you're Tabata, you need to be selective, and if you can't get a knock, get a walk.
Nothing fancy about this, huh?
Good old-fashioned hardball.
On their feet here at Busch Stadium. Got him. Cardinals hold on for the win. 10-7 the final as they take game one of the series against Pittsburgh. And Adam Wainwright picks up his first win.
Congratulations to Adam Wainwright. Plenty of hitting to support the Cardinal right-hander. He hasn't had it all season long, but the Cardinals brought out the pop today. A couple of hits for Call, including his first home run of the year. David Freese, a big 3-run shot in the 5th. Holiday, 3 hits and a home run. Molina, a couple of stolen bases. All kinds of positive offense here tonight in an ugly win, but it counts.
Over 36,000 saw it. Wainwright picks up the win. Don't go away. The Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live post-game show is coming your way next.
Game is over. Cardinals get the win. Plenty of offense and just enough pitching, Al?
Well, I'm going to just concentrate on the real positive. I really liked what I saw from Wainwright. Mott was great at the end. Tremendous offense tonight. Good to see Alan Craig back there. But maybe the most important thing was the night that Holiday had.
Absolutely right. More from Hungo coming up on Cardinals Live. Plus, the Birds have won 6 of their first 7 series this season, and they get off on the right foot in game 1 against the Buccos tonight. Plus, as Hungo said, Adam Wainwright taking a step in the right direction his last time out. Al tells us why he is able to earn his first victory tonight. Plus, we'll take you back to Busher player reaction, get you Mike Matheny's take as well, and we'll tell you why you can put an end to your Retire 10 campaign. Happy National Batman Day. Na 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 na. Cardinals Live. Na 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 na. Up next.